say we were the underdogs by far. Yeah. Beautiful.
Number one, man. Number one.
Hey, what's up? This is John Singleton, and you're watching XPNUGEN.
My racing heritage started it was way back as 1971 when I was born, where my father was into racing from back then in road racing in Jamaica.
Well, all my life, I've had a passion for racing. I guess it stems back from my younger days when I was back in Jamaica, with my dad and Uncle Balfour. We just used to go racing every weekend. That's all that they did.
Steven's dad was also a racer back in Vernon Field days. That's what we call it, because that's a track in Jamaica where everybody raced. My father and his father raced together, competed against one another, worked together and stuff like that. So Steven and myself were always around each other when we were really young.
John and his dad moved away to the United States, and we stayed in Jamaica. And then my dad moved up here, and I stayed in Jamaica with my mom until I was 16. I came up here and lived with my dad.
Once I got to the United States, and I went to school up here, high school, college, so on and so forth, I was always around racing, whether it be street racing or just watching my father race or friends. And as soon as I could possibly get behind the wheel legally, I found myself getting my SCCA road race license, and raced from 1989 to 1990 in SCCA road racing, and enjoyed it a lot, but found myself more and more veering towards street racing because Hondas and Acuras were becoming very popular for the street racing scene.
Myself and John got back together in about 1993. It was actually one of his birthdays. And we sat down and we were talking, and I started showing him my car. I had a 93 Nissan Sentra SAR.
The sport at that time was so new that it was a lot more interesting because everything that we did was kind of state of the art, new to everybody, so we were getting a lot more exposure, and it was more exciting in that way.
We learned more about the Hondas and then more about the Nissans, and then finally we said, let's turbocharge my car. So put a turbo kit on my car, which I built. Me and John put together. It was the first SER to be turbocharged down in this area and, on the East Coast, really.
More and more people, friends, wanted to do the same thing we were doing, so they were coming to us and requesting that we help them out. And from one thing to another, more and more people came, and it kind of turned into a business. So our hobby became a business at that point.
Turned it into like a partial race shop, my house. We just had everything there. All our friends come over on the weekend, we work on the cars, and just have fun, So then we took it to the next level. We say, what, we should just, rent a place, start something up. The market's here.
Thinking of a master plan. This ain't nothing but sweat inside my hands, so
Together we jointly formed Pacific Performance in Oakland Park, Florida. That was around 1993.
I was still in school, I was going to college.
We started doing everything from nitrous installs to turbo system installs on Hondas and Acuras, and just the general bolt-ons like intakes and air filters and that kind of thing. From there, the more interest, came. We saw ourselves more frequently going to the track, doing legal drag racing at Moroso and building faster cars. After finding ourselves at Moroso more and more, testing and tuning and going faster and faster with the cars, we found ourselves having a difficult time trying to tune the cars and get maximum power out of it, when just all of a sudden a friend moved into a shop next door to us and introduced us to this machine called a DynoJet. Now at this time, a DynoJet, no one really knew of it. It was the first of its kind. So we actually had this opportunity. We're a little skeptical, you know, how in the world can you tune a car in a stationary position, so on and so forth. So we were exposed to that, and you know, so through the weeks we were on the dyno, testing and tuning the cars, and finding ourselves increasing horsepower more dramatically than we'd ever had done before. 6 months into it, the DynoJet offered Stephen and myself a position to actually go with them to try to promote the DynoJet. So I chose the opportunity to go and work for DynoJet. So at that point, Stephen and myself separated, and I went on to do, you know, more things with DynoJet, and Stephen stayed with Pacific.
Coming up, Turismo Technology takes John Brown Racing to the next level.
I decided at that point that it would be in my best interest to form a new company more north of where we were in Fort Lauderdale, Miami area. So I decided to open shop in Boca Raton, Florida. That shop I call Turismo Technology.
And Stephen Thompson pilots his Civic to the first 10-second Honda on the East Coast.
Second pass, 10-9. Third pass, 10-7. So I called John up and we were screaming on the phone, having a good time. Pacific became the first Honda on the East Coast to go 10s.
All this and more when XPNUGEN returns. The life of sport compact drag racing.